welcome back. So we've looked at a lot of different factors that influence growth of microorganisms, especially bacteria. And we can imagine all of these affecting really any organism. But in the same way, we can think about pH. Your own cells need a very specific pH. And a lot of times bacteria aren't so different from that. They need a specific pH range. Usually bacteria need a range of something like plus or minus 2 pH units. Some of them grow best around pH 7, we call them neutrophiles, but also a lot grow below pH 5, we call them acidophiles. There are a lot of examples of environments on Earth that are acidic. That's much more common than basic environments. So it just turns out there are a lot of organisms that have adapted to grow in basic conditions, and in acidic conditions. There are some that have definitely adapted to grow in basic conditions, but not as many. So that's pH. Nutrients, this kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I could teach a whole class on this, and I have. It's just the coolest thing to see their adaptations for how they extract energy from their environment, how they extract carbon from their environment, how they break it all down, and what they do with it. And we start that if you look at human cells and the mitochondria and the electron transport chain, you're seeing, again, a bacterium that was kidnapped, basically. Mitochondria have similar structures to gram-negative bacteria, and the mitochondrial DNA is very similar to proteobacteria DNA. That's a phylum in the bacterium. So if you learn about that, you can learn a lot about bacteria. But we're going to skip most of these. These things really push bacteria to specialize even more. They can stratify. In the same environment, you might have some that specialize in breaking down polysaccharides, like breaking down proteins into amino acids, and others that specialize in breaking down the amino acids, and others that specialize in breaking down the waste products of those. There's just a lot of that kind of wild stuff going on in the world. But what I want to bring up here really is the nutrients that are needed by all cells, and why are they needed by all cells? And there are some kind of wild things that we can learn here. So nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur are huge because these are needed to make the macromolecules that cells are made of. So nitrogen is needed to make amino acids and nucleotides. So amino acids, what proteins are made of. Nucleotides, what DNA and RNA are made of. So that's what all of that requires nitrogen atoms. Phosphorus atoms are found in nucleic acids and in phosphorylated nucleotides like ATP. So again, phosphorus is needed. If a cell wants to divide, it has to make a huge amount of new DNA, and always it has to make a lot of RNA. It does tons of transcription. So all of these things are needed all the time by cells. And then sulfur we don't think about as much, and they don't need as much, but there are two amino acids that have sulfur in them. So a typical protein does have sulfur in it, and cells can't grow without it. So they have to be able to get these things from their environment very efficiently. And many can. And so that's a way some of them specialize, is how they can get nitrogen or sulfur. So I mentioned iron. And iron is a really fascinating thing. Believe it or not, iron is so important to a lot of bacteria and so rare in a human body that if we can prevent them from getting it from our hemoglobin, they die. So bacteria make special molecules to steal it called siderophores. we make a special molecule to steal it first, lactoferrin. So this is actually part of our innate immune system. We just secrete this from mucous membranes, and it binds free iron and prevents bacteria from getting it. So that's really something. There's no one magic thing in our immune system that can defeat a pathogen. We have to have just lots of different little things that slow them down. But one of those things is lactoferrin, and all it does is make sure there's no free iron that they can take up into their cells. We basically make them work for it. And then that's going to be it for this video. So I'll see you with the next one. Take care.